Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast. I'm Kelly Toole, sharing all the awesome since 2013. I keep forgetting to throw that in.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Sharing all the awesome 81 times before this one. So this is episode 82. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter. And with me, as always, very successfully advancing the Amazon Prime Directive is Mel.
Hey everybody, I'm Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter when I show up. And yeah, the numbers are getting kind of high. They're getting confusing. It's hard for me to keep everything straight anymore.
We're going to start recommending stuff we've already recommended because we're just not going to remember.
Right,
Too much. There's too much.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, I have to look it up quite frequently to see if I've recommended something already. So one of these days, it's going to happen. We're going to be short on time, and I'm going to recommend something I've already recommended.
Yeah, I think those will be re-recommendations because we feel strongly about it.
Yes.
And that would be fine.
They're so awesome. We're going to share it again.
Well, I was tempted because a couple things. These probably would be good things to put on the blog if I could remember to do it, but we'll just throw it at the beginning of the show here. Danger Mouse, a previous recommendation, is now on Netflix.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
All 82 episodes. So we tie Danger Mouse today. So that's been kind of cool as I've been working my way. They're 10 to 12 minutes long, and so I've been making my way through that. And then Attack on Titan looks like there's going to be a live-action movie made in Japan, and a trailer for that just came out. So that seems like good re-recommendation material.
Yep.
And then, of course, The Martian.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about The Martian.
It looks like the movie will be good so far. I mean, trailers can be deceiving, but it looks promising.
Yeah, I think they've got a good cast, and I can't tell y'all how much I absolutely loved that book, loved the audiobook. In fact, I started listening to the audiobook again recently because, I love it so much. I don't know. I can't describe it. I just can't tell you why. If you haven't read or listened to The Martian yet by Andy Weir, you've really got to go do that before the movie comes out because it's spectacular. If you love space and you love NASA, you've got to read The Martian. It's awesome.
Excellent. And Mel and I are providing some retrospective and encouragement on previous recommendations in lieu of social media recommendations this week. So
that's right.
We're putting the bonus content up front, just mixing it up in episode 82. So spoiler alert, no social media recommendations this week, folks, from anybody. So, yeah. All righty, I'll go ahead and get started. And Mel has thrown down the gauntlet for oldest recommendation, which I will go after. I'm kind of going back here a little bit, but not to the degree I need to. But this is a music recommendation. It's an artist I've recommended before. It's Warren Zevon. The name of the album is The Envoy. The Envoy was released in 1982 originally and re-released in 2007. And while I'd recommend either one, I'm recommending actually the re-release slightly ahead of the original because you get some bonus tracks. We'll talk a little bit about those through there. So The Envoy was the follow-up to Excitable Boy, which was kind of Zevon's breakthrough album. It had Werewolves of London on it, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner, Desperado. So it was good stuff. But The Envoy is viewed as Excitable Boy grows up. And the Excitable Boy grew up to be an envoy and solve problems in the Middle East and all those kinds of things. And so it's a great album. It starts off with The Envoy, which is kind of Zevon-esque stories of, all the conflicts in the Middle East and Baghdad doing whatever it wants to do, and it's all very, very cool. Then there's followed by a song called The Overdraft, just kind of a almost Bruce Springsteen-esque Bonnie and Clyde story. And then there are a couple songs on this I just love. You talk about listening to The Martian or going back and rereading, listening to The Martian. I will listen to these songs over and over again at any opportunity. There are two on this album. The first one is called Hula Hula Boys. And it's a sad story of a vacationer where the hotel staff and his wife are apparently striking up lots of relationships, and he's feeling sad and bad about it. And It heavily features ukuleles and a Hawaiian chorus, and includes, I believe, probably for the first time ever in rock and roll, the lyric, "I didn't have to come to Maui to be treated like a jerk." And so I thought that was kind of nice. But it's just a cool song. It's ukuleles, some Hawaiian chorus to it, and a sad story. And he sings it with such pain in his voice. It's just a great song. Really fun. Maybe not so fun, but interesting. The next song is called "Jesus Mentioned," and this is a little song about Elvis and his infatuation with pills, but done in a kind of a slow crooning way. So it's kind of a fun song there. Kind of a peppy little number called "Nothing Come Between You," which is just kind of a happy, kind of cool song. And then my second song on this album, then again, over and over again, it's a song called "It Ain't That Pretty at All," and it's kind of this driving beat, and he just talks about all these different things, and it ain't that pretty at all, and it ain't that pretty at all. And as he continues to drive that home, as he goes a little bit later, he goes, "Well, then I went to Paris, to the Louvre Museum. Guess what? It ain't that pretty at all." You know, I'm going to hurl myself against the wall because I'd rather feel bad than not feel anything at all. And it just drives and drives. It's just such a cool, fun song, and I just love that. Guess what? Because I knew what was coming. The Louvre was not going to be that pretty at all, but it was very cool. So it's a fun song. Charlie's Medicine, another good song. Also, back to a little bit of people with maybe some dependencies on substances. Looking for the next best thing, another quasi-romantic, cool little number, and Never Too Late for Love, also the same. And so that completed 9 songs, the original Envoy. The bonus tracks include a song called Word of Mouth, which is very Bruce Springsteen-esque, and it's a cool song. An alternative version of Nothing Come Between You, which was on the album. The Risk, another good song. And then Warren Zevon does Wild Thing. So,
awesome.
So it's a nice little. So, Wild Thing's another one that can bear repeated listening. So you get 2 or 3 tracks that are just gold to have on your music player of choice rotation list. It's a great album. It's Warren Zevon kind of in his prime, doing the kinds of things he always liked to do. It's fun to listen to, and at the end of the day, you get 13 tracks on this bonus CD or video or audio download. So there you go.
And what year was this?
1982 was the actual first release, which is around Special Forces time in the Alice Cooper timeline, if you're keeping track.
We need things in Alice Cooper time.
Yeah, that's about one post Special Forces. So
yeah.
So 82, and then 2007 is when the special edition came out.
Yeah, cool. So Hula Hula Boy.
Hula Hula Boys, and Ain't That Pretty at All.
Ain't that pretty at all. And I'm going to have to check out this version of Wild Thing. Wild Thing. I like Wild Thing.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
And it deserves to be done by Warren Zevon. So
I'm going to have to listen to that. That's cool. I'm not that familiar with his work, so I wonder if it's on Spotify. I bet it is.
I bet it is.
I'll put y'all a link.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, and again, Mel does all the heavy lifting. So, but if you can get the guess what that part, maybe I'll see what I can do to dig that out for you, and I'll see if we can just pull out his little Louvre Museum guess what, or a little bit of Hula Hula Boys, because they're awesome. It's just I love those. We could stop the show and go listen to them right now.
Well, I'm excited. I'm going to have to go listen to it. I like the sound of the ukuleles and Hula Hula Boys. That sounds funny. So, I like ukuleles. If y'all haven't noticed, there's a ukulele in our intro song.
That's right.
Yes, we're fans of the ukulele. There are no ukuleles in my recommendation, however.
Cellos?
No cellos either. I'm not doing music, though. I did listen to this book. So it's a book/audiobook called 14, and that's the number 14. We're not going to get so high and mighty as to spell it out. It's 1-4 by Peter Clines. And this book came out in 2012. I only recently even saw anything about it, basically because he had a recent book come out, and I was looking at his back catalog. And so this one had a really cool cover that caught my eye. And it's kind of in the horror genre, and I haven't been reading a lot. I used to read a lot of horror, and I haven't been reading a lot of it so much lately, so I decided to mix things up and read this one. And another Amazon company called Audible had it on audiobook. So I used some of my credits and downloaded 14. It is narrated by, I believe, a man named R.C. Porter, and I thought he did a very good job. I've mentioned before, or I'm sorry, Ray Porter. And I've mentioned before that I can get a little nitpicky about audiobooks when a narrator starts irritating me. It can really ruin what would otherwise be a good book for me. And I will then have to switch to reading the book instead of listening to it because I'm just so irritated by the narrator. But Ray Porter did a very good job on this one. It's not as slick as some of them, but it was actually produced by Audible, I believe, is what they say at the beginning. So it's they call this book kind of a cross genre type book. It doesn't really sit solidly in any particular category. Overall, it's been classified as horror. To me, there's a little bit of it's set in modern day Los Angeles, but it's got a bit of a steampunk feel. It's dealing with the brand of horror in it is a little Lovecraftian type horror going on. It's very suspenseful, very mysterious, and it just has a nice vibe to it. Something that appealed to me about it is that the main characters, what's going on is this man, Nate, has moved into an alarmingly inexpensive apartment in this building. And the rent is just astonishingly low, and it's all utilities are paid for. So this is like the deal of a lifetime. He moves in and then slowly starts to notice that there's odd things going on in the building, and the building itself seems to be a bit odd. The description on Goodreads about the book is essentially it says padlocked doors, strange light fixtures, mutant cockroaches. There are some odd things about Nate's new apartment. Of course, he has other things on his mind. He hates his job, he has no money in the bank, no girlfriend, no plans for the future. So while his new home isn't perfect, it's livable, the rent is low, the property managers are friendly, and the odd little mysteries don't nag at him too much. Until he starts meeting his neighbors and he sees their apartments, and all of the floor plans are drastically different. Any of us who have lived in apartments, you pretty much know all the all the apartments in a building are pretty much the same or mirror images of each other. And this one, all of the rooms are very, very weird. Some of them don't have kitchens. Others of them have huge locker room style bathrooms. Turns out one of them has a 2-story cathedral ceiling and is completely lined in wood, whereas all of the rest of the apartments are plastered. It's very odd. And then, of course, you've got these mysterious rooms that have padlocks on the doors. And there's the room that has no doorknob on it, but a padlock on the door. So things start getting odd. And it's one of those books where you don't quite know what you're going to deal with. I didn't, on purpose, look into trying to figure out what the mystery was going to be because I wanted to be surprised. And I was really impressed with it. I gave up trying to figure out whether we were going to have a serial killer or some big monster or mutants or whatever, because we definitely have some very strange, bright green cockroaches running around in this building with extra legs. It's very odd. Is there a mad scientist in the basement experimenting on cockroaches? What's going on? You don't find out until the very, very end of the book. And
14 his apartment number?
14 is one of the padlocked rooms
Okay.
in the apartment building. It doesn't just have one padlock on it, it has 4. So it has to be extra special. It's been obvious that many of these rooms have never been opened because there are layers and layers of paint over the doors, the doorknobs, the locks, the everything. These locked rooms haven't been opened in forever. So Nate conscripts a couple of the neighbors who are also interested in the mysteries of this place, and they start trying to dig into the history of this building and find out what's going on. And they dig up a couple of scientists, and I'm not going to give the twist away, but they start digging into it, and they start they start finding out a little bit of information, but really every little bit of information they find only leads them to another mystery. So you really don't know what's going on. And there's an elevator in this building that has never worked. Ever. Ever.
Wait a
And
second. Are
yet,
you recommending Big Bang Theory here?
no, no. It would be funny if they turned Big Bang Theory into what happens in this book. But yeah, so there's a bit mystery with the elevator shaft of where exactly is the elevator. And if you throw a coin in the elevator shaft, do you ever hear it hit the bottom? These are mysteries that you will find the answer to if you read 14. I enjoyed it. And to give a little update on my last week's recommendation, the book about tidying up, I listened to this audiobook while I was enacting my tidying up. So I got this whole book listened to in one weekend. And it was a good binge listen. I really enjoyed it. So it's a good book that I recommend to anybody who likes a little mystery, little suspense, that's not afraid of the Lovecraftian weird type horror that can crop up. There's not, if you're a little squeamish, there's really not a lot of blood and gore in this book. But one of the things I did particularly like about it was that, as mentioned in the little blurb, Nate hates his job. They actually deal with a lot of the little boring, mundane parts of living that usually get glossed over in movies and books, having to go to the job that is boring or having to worry about paying rent, or while they're digging into all of these mysteries, they're worried about getting evicted from this cheapest place in the world to possibly live. And all of the people that live in this building, almost all of them, are there basically because they can't afford to go anywhere else. They stumble upon this great deal, and even though there's weird stuff going on in this building, there have been suicides in some of the rooms, and they can't really afford to leave because they can't afford any place else because it's very expensive to live in LA. So I kind of thought it was a nice touch. They don't dig so far into all those mundane little details that I got bored. But it was a nice touch to kind of round the characters out and flesh them out a little bit, give them some motivations as to, one, why anybody would stay in this weird situation with the mutant cockroaches. And one interesting thing I'll throw out, Nate's kitchen, light bulb in his kitchen is a black light. No matter what bulb you put in it, it gives off black light. Interesting. Why would that be? So, a lot of mysteries to find out. It's a good book. I recommend it to anybody who's looking for something that's a little bit different, that's a little bit hard to figure out what's going on, and likes a suspenseful little story about a strange building with a lot of padlocked rooms. And I mentioned the cover was one of the things that drew me to this. It's a classic type horror cover that is the door to apartment 14 with all the padlocks on it, and it's this grungy beat up door, and I liked it. I love that cover. It's very cool. So 14 by Peter Clines, and it's available pretty much everywhere, but I'm going to say I think Audible made this audiobook, so the audiobook itself may not be available anywhere but through Audible. So you'll have to check that out if you want to. If you're not an Audible customer and you want to listen to the audiobook, I am not sure if it's available on CD. So there we go.
How many extra legs do the cockroaches have?
One.
One
each.
extra leg. Oh,
Yes.
one each. Okay.
Yep. Each cockroach they find has one extra leg. He thought it was just one, and then he found they all did, and they're bright green. Interesting.
Cockroaches, you typically have how many legs?
6.
6.
Yes, these had 7.
All right.
Yes.
Well.
And alarmingly, they're green.
Yeah, that's a bright green apparently, which is like,
yes.
Oh, that'd be good. Well, 6, number of cockroach legs, times 14 is 84, minus the 2-word title of my recommendation, brings us to episode 82, because just like we planned it. So,
absolutely. That was some fancy math there, Kelly.
Yeah. So if I looked distracted, I was trying to just doing the math in my head. And
I'm glad you figured that out.
I was really hoping cockroaches had 6 legs, because otherwise I didn't know how. I probably would have said, well, we're just going to multiply it by 6. But
right.
Works out.
Right. Make it work. That's that fuzzy math stuff, right? I think that's fuzzy math.
And speaking of bright green cockroaches with 7 legs, here comes Matt to tell you how. I think I'm going to do this every show from now on. It's just
Until he notices.
Until he notices and says, "Hey, stop that." So, matter of fact, that's what I think I'm going to do. But here comes our good friend Matt, who will tell you all the many different ways you can connect with us via email that we really should check a little more often, Mel. FYI, I think we might want to go take a peek. So Twitter's a little better for that. You can hear how to do that, connect with us that way. Always on the blog, comments there. Catch us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, all those fun places. So hope you have enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com, or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter. You can also catch Nurture and Support on YouTube. Just search Nurture and Support or Kelly Toole.
Nurturing and supporting Tornado.